I'm an A-lister with millions of fans. One day, a little boy who was the spitting image of me and a big shot air went viral online. People online were joking. Looks like Iris and Luke both had a little too much to drink that night. Then, unexpectedly, Luke himself posted a statement. Yes, we have a child. Iris. The entire internet lost its mind. Because both me and the heir Luke are men. Before the shoot was even over, my agent pulled me into a corner. Iris, this is bad. Someone took a picture of Louis's face and posted it online. My heart sank. I immediately asked him what happened. Turns out, when my son was out with his nanny, a passerby accidentally caught him in a photo and posted it. His face is just so ridiculously cute that he blew up on TikTok almost instantly. I let out a breath of relief. Okay, at least they didn't connect him to me. Let me see the video. My agent pulled it up for me. I smiled as I watched my son's adorable antics twice, then instinctively opened the comment section. Looks like Iris and Luke both had a little too much to drink that night. Not even Iris and that big shot heir could have a kid that looks this much like both of them. I frantically shut my phone, my voice tight as I ordered my agent, scrub this video from the internet. I don't want a single copy left. My agent looked confused for a second but agreed. You're right. We can't afford to get mixed up with a guy like that. I didn't say anything, but my mind was a total mess. I had a terrible feeling something bad was about to happen. Sure enough, after we wrapped for the day, my agent showed up with a grim look on his face to pick me up. While we were waiting for the elevator, he broke the news. Someone posted those pictures of you taking Louis to the hospital a while back. The secretly married with a kid rumors are trending, and we can't get them under control. My head started to throb. Can we just let it die down? Lately, people online are obsessed with celebrities having kids. There's no way this will just blow over. Then, ding. Before I could finish, the elevator arrived. The doors opened. Our eyes met, and I froze, feeling like I'd been struck by lightning. My agent gasped beside me. Mr. Chun. Good evening. Luke didn't step out of the elevator. He just stared at me, his expression unreadable. Iris, get in. I suppressed the storm of emotions inside me and forced a stiff smile. Luke, I don't think this is a good idea. Besides, I have to get to my next gig. Luke tilted his head, a slight smirk on his lips. I don't mind carrying you out of here in front of everyone. I closed my eyes and did as I was told, stepping into the elevator. I left my agent standing there, completely baffled. As the elevator descended to the parking garage, my heart was pounding in my chest. I kept sneaking glances at Luke. He looked like he'd just rushed out of a meeting, still dressed in a sharp suit. I didn't have time to think. All I could do was pray he wouldn't bring up my son. But he just had me get in the passenger seat and started driving straight toward my downtown apartment. A chill went down my spine. He knew where I lived this whole time. Did that mean he knew about Louis? Iris, after we broke up, did you really rebound with a woman and have a kid right away? Luke's lazy voice suddenly filled the car. I unclenched my fists and mumbled a reply. Yes. The temperature in the car seemed to drop. Luke let out a bitter laugh. I looked away, silently accepting his judgment. When we pulled into the garage under my building, I quickly got out and thanked him, but a little boy suddenly came running out from behind a pillar. My son, Louis. He saw me and came sprinting over, shouting "Daddy," with a panicked nanny chasing after him. I was horrified. Ignoring the look on Luke's face, I scooped my son up and tried to get away. Wait. Luke got out of the car with deliberate slowness and walked over to me. He stood over us, looking down as he and my son, who was still in my arms, stared at each other. No one could look at those two identical faces and not think something was up. My son, ever polite, even said, "Hello, mister." Luke was quiet for a moment, then suddenly reached out and ruffled his hair, looking at me with a half smile. Iris, if I didn't know you were a man, I'd almost think he was ours. My eyes widened. I quickly pushed his hand away and hurried off with my son in my arms. I was in such a panic I almost tripped. It's over. Does he know something? Luke and I met in college. We were dorm roommates. He was the golden boy, born with a silver spoon, wild and confident. Everyone loved him. I was abandoned by my parents as a kid, just a regular student working part-time jobs to pay for tuition and living expenses. I never thought our paths would cross. But for some reason, we got along incredibly well. Luke took special care of me, to the point where it was almost flirty. It went beyond friendship and it made my head spin. So when Luke, emboldened by alcohol, kissed me one night, I dazedly went along with it. After that, we became a couple. To the world, we were just best buds. In private, we did everything a couple could do. Lying tangled up together, Luke once made a cheesy joke. If you could have kids, every child within a 2-mile radius would have my last name. Get lost, have some shame, I laughed, shoving him. But his words came true. During my senior year, right before graduation, I started throwing up constantly. I figured it was just an upset stomach from being too busy. Luke was learning the ropes of his family's business back then, and I didn't want to worry him, so I kept it to myself. Until I finally went to the hospital alone for a checkup. The doctor in gastroenterology looked at me for a long moment before saying one thing. Son, I suggest you go see an OBGYN. But I'm a man. Men, it's not unheard of, both here and abroad. I was floored. I don't even remember how I got out of the OBGYN's office. All I remember are the shocked, strange looks from the doctors and nurses. I didn't care, because something that had been bothering me for a long time finally became crystal clear. Was this why my parents abandoned me? Because they knew I was this kind of monster? If my own parents could be so cruel, what about Luke, who was only my secret boyfriend? What about his parents? Would they accept me, this freak, and this freak's child? I didn't know. I was too scared to bet on it, but I wanted to try. After sitting in the hospital lobby for what felt like an eternity, I went back to the dorm to wait for Luke so I could tell him. But he never came back. Instead, I heard something from someone else. A mutual friend of ours said he saw Luke on a date with a beautiful girl at some restaurant. I froze, just standing there like an idiot for a long time. Finally, I made a decision. I would break up with Luke. Of course, Luke didn't agree. The proud, golden boy dropped everything and begged me on his knees, his eyes red. But I didn't budge. I even mocked him, calling him pathetic and desperate. The heartbreak must have been too much for Luke, because he ended up leaving the country. Later, I gave birth to a frail baby boy and named him Louis. To support him, I had to work multiple jobs on top of my main one. Until one day, while waiting tables at a restaurant, I met my current agent. I said yes. And soon, I became the biggest star in the industry with millions of fans. Of course, being a celebrity means giving up your privacy. To protect my 5-year-old son, I rarely took him out in public. Luke returned to the country last year and took over his massive family empire, becoming the powerful heir that every star in the industry was dying to get into bed with. I deliberately avoided any situation where I might see him, but my son was photographed and Luke saw it. He even came looking for me directly. It left me completely at a loss. Luke's joke kept me up all night. The next day, my agent came over and hesitated for a long time before speaking. Iris, you know Mr. Chun? We were classmates. Oh, okay. I was wondering. With a connection like that, getting projects should be a piece of cake, right? Don't even think about it. We had a huge falling out, I mumbled, looking down. The studio was about to release a statement, but last night, some A-list actor got busted for an orgy, and it completely overshadowed your news. Now, hardly anyone's talking about it. I took the opportunity to have the video and photos taken down. I reached out and stroked my son's chubby little cheek, a huge weight finally lifting from my chest. Thanks, man. Don't mention it. But seriously, is there really no chance of you two making up? He's the heir to the Chun fortune. The line of people trying to get with him is a mile long. No chance. He probably wants to run me over every time he sees me. My agent left, looking dejected. I was sitting on the rug, half-heartedly playing with blocks with my son, when the doorbell rang again. I figured my agent had forgotten something and came back, so I just went and opened the door. But it was Luke standing there. He looked inexplicably happy, holding a folder in his hand. Before I could react, he reached out, touched my face, and walked right into my apartment. He acted so arrogantly at ease, as if he owned the place. Luke, what do you want? Luke ignored me. He just squatted down and casually handed Louis a block. Louis thanked him in his sweet, little voice. Thank you, mister. You're welcome, buddy. But I'm not your mister. Huh? I panicked and rushed over to block him. Luke, what are you doing? Luke stood up and handed me the folder. I looked closer, DNA test report. What is this? Luke lifted his chin, looking down at me smugly. It's a paternity test for our Iris. Ignoring his choice of words, I frantically flipped to the last page. My heart nearly stopped. There, in bold letters, it said, the results support that sample A and sample B share a biological parent-child relationship. Forgot to mention, A is me, and B is your son. Then, Luke wrapped his arms around my stunned body, kissing my cheek, his voice a dangerous, flirty whisper. So, you really can get pregnant? The secret I'd hidden for so long was just laid bare by my ex. My breath hitched for a moment before I could process it. I quickly pushed Luke away, taking 2 steps back, and looked down to avoid his intense gaze. If our eyes met, he'd see right through to all my pathetic insecurities. Luke, you're mistaken. I'm a man. How could a man have a baby? This report has to be wrong. I have things to do, so let's not catch up. You can see yourself out. My voice trembled, betraying my lack of confidence. I was used to running away. A secret this absurd being exposed wouldn't be a good thing for Luke. My deliberate coldness seemed to make Luke pause. I thought my attitude had wounded his precious heir's pride. Just as I was about to instinctively soften my tone, he pulled me into a hug. He held me even tighter and closer than before, with the same roguish energy he had back in college. With my son staring at us in confusion, my ears turned bright red. Luke, let go of me. Don't be a creep in front of my son. I hissed, but deep down, a little flicker of hope ignited. Did his reaction mean he didn't care that I was a freak? Could he even accept Louis? Then, I heard Luke's voice, raspy and choked up, as if he'd been crying. Iris, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. I made you suffer. My heart softened for a moment. I was about to tell him it was okay. But then he added, if I had known, I would have worn Would you just shut up? What are you talking about? I quickly clamped my hand over his mouth, terrified my son would hear his crude words. But my son's focus was on something else entirely. Daddy, why is this mister always hugging you? I want a hug too. With that, he launched himself at us like a little cannonball, whining as he clung to our legs. Can I have a hug from the mister? Luke asked. Okay. Watching Luke smile as he picked him up, I found I couldn't bring myself to say no anymore. That night, Luke shamelessly stayed at my place, promising he'd leave in a little while. I didn't have the heart to kick him out, but watching this tall man holding Louis and showering him with affection, I felt a headache coming on. Louis might be okay with having an uncle to play with, but he might not accept a new dad who just appeared out of nowhere. And I had no idea how to explain it to him. More importantly, both Luke and I were public figures now. It was painfully obvious he wanted to get back together. And while I didn't know how sincere he was, how could a same-sex relationship like ours possibly survive in the spotlight? It wasn't allowed for me, and it certainly wasn't for him. As my thoughts grew heavier, Luke stood in front of me, holding his suit jacket, his eyes dark and intense. His stare snapped me back to reality, and my face instantly flushed. Luke, are you leaving? Yeah, As if on cue, a loud clap of thunder boomed outside, followed by the sound of pouring rain. Before I could react, a smirk played on Luke's lips. Iris, it's raining pretty hard out there. Can I wait for it to stop before I go? The roads are slick. I'm afraid I'll get into an accident. Somehow, I had a feeling this was all part of his plan, like he'd been waiting for this rain to come. I couldn't bring myself to kick him out, so I just nodded reluctantly. We broke up years ago, but we have a kid now. What's the point of being dramatic? A man's got to be magnanimous about these things. With that thought, I got up to get the guest room ready for him and find some clean clothes. Luke even had the nerve to thank me like a perfect gentleman. Seeing that smug, half-smiling look on his face, I knew he was up to no good. Sure enough, after I tucked Louis into bed and had just gotten back to my own room, I heard a soft knock on the door. Iris, I accidentally got the bed in my room wet. Can I crash here? I couldn't help but laugh. Luke's roundabout way of being clingy was exactly the same as it was in college. Back when we were in that ambiguous phase, he'd always use the excuse that his bed was wet to squeeze in and sleep with me. I could never say no to him, so I'd always cave. The dorm beds weren't very wide to begin with, and he was a whole size bigger than me. Every time he pressed up against me to sleep, I'd get so tense I could barely move. And Luke would use the opportunity to push his luck. Behind that small bed curtain, the air would get so thick with intimacy it felt sticky. All these years later, his shameless tactics hadn't changed one bit. The worst part was we'd been broken up for years, and here he was teasing me, knowing full well I had no self-control. I angrily yanked the door open, ready to tell him off, but the sight of him made the words catch in my throat. His collar was open, his hair slightly messy. Combined with that heartbreaker face, he looked like he was ready for a magazine cover shoot. And in the split second I was stunned, he had already lazily strolled in. He flopped onto my bed as if it were his own and beckoned to me. His voice was a little raspy, impossibly tempting. Iris, come to bed. He didn't want to sleep, he wanted to devour me. I kept a straight face and walked over to pull him up. Luke, get up. You can sleep on the couch. Do I look like the kind of person who sleeps on a couch? When I decisively let go and turned to leave, Luke grabbed my arm. I lost my balance and fell right into his arms. Instantly, the scent of my body wash, the same one he used, filled my senses, mixed with his own unique, clean fragrance. It was intoxicating. I frantically tried to push myself up, but Luke held me tight. He kissed my forehead softly and whispered, Iris, I just miss you so much. Just like that, all the fight went out of me. I stopped struggling. Just one night, I thought. Just one night of being held would be okay. After that, Luke held me for a long time without saying a word. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep in his arms, he asked in a low voice, did it hurt back then? My eyelashes fluttered. Finally, I gave a faint reply. No, but how could it not have hurt? I was a freak, built differently from normal people. I was poor then, too scared to go to a real hospital, and I had no one to take care of me. What little savings I had went to daily expenses and food. In the end, I chose a small, back-alley clinic and used all my money to hire a blind doctor. He cursed and insulted me the whole time, and his technique was so bad I honestly just wanted to die right there on the table. I was a monster anyway, all alone in the world with nothing to tie me down. But thinking of Luke, I held on. And I made it to today. Louis, a name that sounded like Luke. It was my small, pathetic, shameless little wish. Luke must have figured it out. As my sleepiness faded, I looked up at him uneasily. His dark eyes were fixed on me. He said, I know everything. I'm sorry I was late. After Luke apologized that night, he was quiet for a long time. I fell asleep in that silent, intimate atmosphere. In a hazy dream, I felt someone crying and stroking the scar on my stomach. Then they kept whispering that they loved me. Tickled, and I got so annoyed I kicked them. When I woke up the next morning, Luke was gone. He'd left me a message saying he had to go take care of something. Last night felt as fleeting as a dream, leaving me dazed. But the indent on the pillow next to me and the new contact in my messaging app were reminders that Luke had really been here. He accepted all my secrets and said he missed me. It was a little cheesy, but I couldn't stop the smile from spreading across my face. My good mood lasted until my agent came to pick me up for a job, when the nanny told me something. Iris, when I came to cook this morning, I saw a lot of strangers hanging around downstairs. I stroked my son's soft cheek and nodded. I understand, Maria. For the next few days, please don't take Louis out. I'll call the preschool and let them know he'll be absent. Even though the online gossip about me had died down, the paparazzi probably thought there was truth to the secret family rumors and were hoping to get a money shot. Couldn't help but worry. I was worried about Louis getting photographed, and I was worried that someone would dig up my past relationship with Luke. I told my agent to keep an eye on the gossip sites and headed to my job with a heavy heart. During a much-needed break, the crew on set started buzzing, probably gossiping about some celebrity. I paid it no mind and just sipped my water. But an actress I was friendly with immediately rushed over, holding her phone. "Iris, you gotta see this. That big shot heir, Luke Chun, was photographed on a date with that A-list actress. Isn't her family super rich, too? She totally bought her last award. And I heard from an inside source that she's already hired a PR team to announce their engagement." Crash. My actress friend and the crew around me all nervously asked if I was okay. I kicked at the shattered glass of the water cup on the floor and said calmly, "I'm fine. Just suddenly feel like going crazy and biting someone's ass." Everyone around me, "Huh?" Ignoring the frantic buzzing of my phone, I went with the director to a dinner with the project's investors after the shoot. I've always hated these kinds of schmoozing events. They're messy and sleazy, filled with unspoken deals. But if a certain someone could have dinner with other people, why couldn't I let loose a little? After politely and insincerely greeting a few investors, I was ready to just drink by myself in a corner. One of the investors, a well-dressed man in his late 30s or early 40s, had been smiling at me ever since I walked in, trying to make small talk. But my mind was a mess, and considering who he was, I just politely humored him. My lack of resistance must have made him think I was an easy target, because he kept refilling my glass. When I was starting to get a little buzzed, his hand landed on my shoulder. His gaze became suggestive, making my skin crawl. I've been in this industry for a few years. I know some sponsors aren't picky about gender. I shot to my feet and said coolly, "Excuse me, I need to use the restroom." I regretted it immediately. I should have just bought some booze and gone home. I slipped into the restroom, planning to splash some water on my face and have my agent pick me up. But that investor followed me in. "Big star, leaving so soon?" "Yes, Mr. Lee. We'll have to do this again sometime." I said my piece and tried to leave, but Mr. Lee blocked the door. "Iris, it's no fun to leave now. You have a few drinks with me tonight, and tomorrow morning I'll have 2 great movie roles waiting for you. You know what I mean, right?" I stared at him coldly and refused outright. "No thanks, Mr. Lee. I'm not much of an actor anyway. You should save that opportunity for someone else." Seeing me reject him again, Mr. Lee's previously smiling face twisted into a snarl. He grabbed my arm, and in my drunken state, I couldn't shake him off. "Let go. Iris, don't be ungrateful. If you don't come with me today, tomorrow your career will be..." Bang! Before he could finish, the restroom door was kicked open from the outside. Luke's handsome face, so cold it looked like it could freeze water, appeared in the doorway. He pulled me, still tipsy, into his arms. Then, I heard him say to the stunned Mr. Lee with a smirk, "Tomorrow, my husband's career will be what?" He looked from me to Luke in a panic, and a look of understanding dawned on his face. "So Iris is your man. My mistake, my mistake. Mr. Chun, I'll get out of your way." With that, he bowed and practically scrambled out of there. I closed my eyes. Great. Now I'm the powerful heir's little kept boy. I pushed Luke's hand away and rubbed my forehead. "Thanks." Luke immediately dropped the alpha male act and clung to me like a big dog. "Iris, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Not dead yet. I could probably even go on another date with some A-list actress." I couldn't stop myself from making a sarcastic dig. Luke's brow furrowed, and he took 2 steps closer to me. "Who are you going on a date with?" "Today Before he could finish, his phone rang. I'm not one to snoop, but I saw the caller ID, his mom. A wave of sadness washed over me. While he was on the phone, I slipped away. Sitting in my agent's car, I stared blankly out the window. It made sense. Luke's family was incredibly wealthy. An arranged marriage was the normal path for a man like him. It was true back then, and it's still true now. What right did a freak like me have? Maybe he felt some sense of responsibility for Louis. I sighed, pushing aside those foolish thoughts. A man's got to be strong. I'll just focus on my son, eat well, sleep well, and not let anything get to me. My agent, sitting next to me, was scrolling through social media and hadn't noticed my mood. Suddenly, he made a couple of comments. "Damn, when Mr. Chun makes a move, it's epic." All the gossip articles were taken down instantly. I froze. What? My agent cheerfully showed me his phone. The moment that actress's articles went up today, Mr. Chun had them all forcefully removed. Then the paparazzi who took the pictures practically groveled in their apology posts. They said the actress paid them to stage the photos. Apparently, they were only alone for 30 seconds before Mr. Chun kicked them out. Talk about a slap in the face. Money really can buy you anything. Look, Mr. Chun even made an X account. He's probably going to respond soon. My heart, which had been gray and heavy just moments before, suddenly felt a lot brighter. So it was a misunderstanding. Just as I was about to lean over to get a better look at the news, my phone buzzed. I opened it to see a flood of messages from Luke. Iris, that woman was all over me today, I swear. I dodged her immediately. Trust me, I only love you. It's my fault, please talk to me. If you still don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. I bit my lip, about to reply, when my agent suddenly turned to me, completely bewildered. Iris, didn't you and Mr. Chun have a falling out? Then why are you the only person he's following? I froze, then stammered out an explanation. I don't know. Maybe it's an old classmate thing? After all, I was the only one in our class who made it big. My agent looked skeptical. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Just then, Luke posted, Luke Chun, I've already got a family waiting for me at home. Why would I be getting married? After sending my agent home, who was practically screaming and melting into a puddle on the floor, I finally lay down on my bed and let out a sigh of relief. I couldn't resist pulling out my phone again to look at Luke's post. A helpless smile spread across my face. So this was his proof. Luke's post didn't just stun me, it sent the entire internet into a frenzy. He was rich and handsome. Even though he wasn't a celebrity, he had legions of fans who swooned over him. Some gossip accounts even called him the nation's husband. Every time I saw that, I'd secretly roll my eyes. Now, he'd suddenly announced he had a wife and kid, which was a pretty big shock. Immediately, netizens started speculating about who his wife could be. But families like his are notoriously private, so people couldn't dig up anything. So, his one and only follow, me, became the target of everyone's questions. Lots of people in the industry messaged me privately, asking if I knew who Luke's wife was, how old his kid was, and what my relationship with him was. I played dumb and dodged their questions. But my heart was beating violently, uncontrollably, deafeningly loud. My phone pinged. I thought it was another friend looking for gossip, but it was Luke. A small smile tugged at my lips. Luke, just checking if you blocked me, since you won't answer my calls. His submissive act made me laugh. Oh, in that case, I'll block you now. Luke, no, I'm sorry. Luke, to make it up to you, how about I take you and Louie camping this Saturday? You in? The word no sat in my text box for a long time before I finally changed it to one word. Yes. Of course, before we went, I asked Louie for his opinion. With that Mr. from before? Yes, sweetie. So, do you want to go play with him? Louie, sitting on my lap, nodded obediently. Yes. I felt a wave of relief. Is it because you like that mister? I like him, but it's mostly because of Daddy. Me? I asked, confused. Louie gently poked my eyelid. Because when Daddy sees him, the happiness just spills out of your eyes. I was quiet for a long moment, unable to speak. My heart just started beating faster and faster. Slowly. It was like a slow motion, complex chemical reaction, stripping away all my resistance. So, would you want to have another daddy? Louie pouted. Just when I thought he was going to say no, he nodded. If it's Mr. Luke, then yes. Filled with a dizzying sense of hope, I brought Louie to Luke's car that Saturday. To avoid the paparazzi, Luke had deliberately driven around for a while before coming to pick us up. I noticed the newly installed car seat in the back and gave him a sincere thank you. Thanks, Luke. Luke just leaned in close, his perfectly handsome features on full display. The intimidating proximity made me nervous, afraid he was about to pull some shameless stunt. But he just calmly helped me with my seatbelt. Then he looked up at me, his voice low and soft. What's there to thank me for? If I don't dote on our son, Who will? I looked into his deep eyes, my breath catching in my throat. I tried to find any hint of insincerity in his gaze, but all I saw was the familiar love and warmth. The disgust and cold politeness I had always feared were completely absent. He meant it. As he straightened up and got back in the driver's seat, I was about to say something when I noticed a shadowy figure lurking not far away. The person quickly disappeared into the garden, and I couldn't get a clear look. But my professional instincts kicked in, and I sent a message to my agent. I think I might have been photographed. Keep an eye on the paparazzi. What? You and Louis got photographed? And Luke, we went out. Mr. Chun? I thought you two had a falling out? Why are you out with the kid now? This looks like you guys are a family on a trip. I felt too guilty to reply. The weather was perfect for an outing. Luke chose a secluded spot so we wouldn't be noticed by any passersby. I watched the sharp line of his jaw as he set up the tent, then looked at my son running around everywhere. I have to admit, a strange, warm feeling filled my chest. What are you staring at? Luke suddenly turned to look at me, a teasing glint in his eyes. I cleared my throat and handed him a bottle of water. Thought you might be thirsty. Can you open it for me? My hands are full with the tent. I rolled my eyes at him, twisted off the cap, and held it out. But he didn't take it. He just leaned in and took a couple of sips. As if using me as a bottle holder wasn't enough, he stared right at me while he drank. The emotion in his eyes was unmistakable. It was so intense it felt like I'd been burned, and I snatched my hand back. I felt a flush creep over my whole body, both literally and figuratively. So annoying. Why is he still such a show-off like a peacock? My face burning, I walked away. When I slowly wandered back, I found that Luke had finished setting up the tent and was now catching bugs with Louis. They were both laughing hysterically, their strikingly similar faces making you want to smile along with them. Luke might seem cold, but he's actually a very warm person. When he cares about someone, it's incredibly obvious. A thought suddenly popped into my head. Maybe I should try to make this work. Give Louis a complete family. If his family disapproves, so be it. As long as Louis is happy and he's happy, then I'm happy too. Luke must have sensed the shift in my attitude. His smile became even wider. That night, he boldly slipped into my tent. Seeing Louis sleeping soundly beside me, I panicked a little, but he just snuggled up close to me. Iris, just one kiss and I'll go. I hesitated for a moment, then tilted my head up, my face flushed. I could never refuse him. The next day, as we were leaving the campsite for the parking lot, Luke was holding Louis with one hand and me with the other. After I drop you off at home, He stopped mid-sentence, his expression suddenly hardening as he pulled both my and Louis's faces into his chest. Startled, I caught a glimpse of several familiar paparazzi in a car not far away, their cameras flashing. Damn it, we were spotted after all. Luke and I quickly shielded Louis's face and got into the car. But even after we got home, the paparazzi were still camped out downstairs. This particular agency was notorious for chasing headlines at any cost. They even dared to expose the affairs of powerful business tycoons. A high-profile heir like Luke was their prime target. I frantically opened X. Sure enough, the rumors about my gay relationship with Luke had exploded. What? Iris and Luke went out with a kid? I must be dreaming. Let me check again. A few days ago, the rumors about Iris's secret family were suppressed, and then Luke announced he had a wife and kid. Could it be? So all the handsome guys are taken by other handsome guys. Kinda shipping this. What's wrong with me? So gross. A pair of fags. Get that faggot Iris out of the entertainment industry. Looks like someone's eager to be a stepdad. I bet Iris is just trying to climb the ladder using his money and connections. My head was spinning. I quickly told my frantic agent to try and get the topic off the trending list. Beside me, Luke hung up his phone and wrapped his arms around me comfortingly. Don't worry, my family will take care of this. I looked at him in surprise, the words tumbling out of my mouth before I could think. Your family? Shouldn't your family be taking care of me first? Luke paused, then started to laugh. Out of frustration, he gently cupped my face and asked helplessly, Who told you my parents were going to take care of you? I lowered my eyes, a bitter taste in my mouth. Isn't that how it normally goes? Normal, my ass. My parents can't wait to meet you. Huh? I was completely floored. Fireworks exploded in my mind, knocking me senseless. Luke leaned down and kissed my stunned face. My parents have always known about you. I told them everything a few days ago, and they immediately told me to bring you home. Oh right. They also kicked me a couple of times and called me a scumbag for letting you suffer. This turn of events sent my world spinning. Luke's expression suddenly turned serious. Because the most important thing right now is, are you scared? I slowly came back to my senses and said firmly, no. Because Luke had already paved 99% of the road between us. I had to be brave enough to take that final step. That night, Luke posted on X. Luke-chan, yes, we have a child. Iris. I liked it and retweeted it with a heart emoji. The entire internet went silent for about 30 seconds. Every single person scrolling probably thought their eyes were deceiving them. Then the site crashed. Countless people were debating what his post meant. WTF? Is this him publicly coming out? I've lived to see it all. OMG. A love story between a powerful heir and an A-list star. So what's the deal with the kid? Whose is it?
No idea.
Probably one of them had him before and the other is the stepdad. It's not like they could have had him together. I feel so bad for whatever woman was tricked into being a surrogate for these two gays. But what woman could have a kid that looks so much like both of them? What's wrong with two men? Is it any of your business? I didn't have time to worry about the chaos online, because my agent was having a complete meltdown. He just couldn't wrap his head around me and Luke getting together. But in the end, he gave my shoulder a meaningful pat. Iris, looks like we won't have to worry about projects anymore. We're headed straight to the top. I've already got an invitation for season 30 of Superstar Dads. You and Mr. Chun better get ready to blow up. With your love story, we're about to transform your career. I couldn't help but laugh. Thanks, man. The news that I might be on a family reality show sent the internet into another frenzy. Many people called for a boycott, but as society has become more open, many others supported me. The online arguments were a mess. In the end, I didn't do the show. After a lot of thought, I decided to leave the industry and go back to a normal life. My agent was silent for a moment, then agreed. Amidst all the noise, I took Louis and went with Luke to his family's home for New Year's. Just as Luke had said, his parents were wonderful to me. They didn't ask many questions, just alternated between scolding Luke and praising me. It was a warmth from a family that felt like a dream I never wanted to wake up from. Watching Louis playing with the two elders, a gentle smile was fixed on my face. Luke handed me a glass of water and leaned against me lazily, his voice flirty. Iris, it's New Year's Eve. My parents are putting the kid to bed, which means I get to focus on you. Luke, have some decency. I pretended to push him away, but he caught my hand and stroked it gently. We kept up our playful, subtle banter. Just then, fireworks exploded outside the window. His parents stood with Louis by the floor-to-ceiling windows watching the display. The atmosphere was lively and joyous. And in that brilliant moment, Luke suddenly turned and kissed my forehead. He said, Iris, Happy New Year. I'll love you forever. My eyes misted over slightly. Happy New Year. I love you too. Luke's POV. I took the strand of hair I'd snagged from Iris's kid's head and had someone rush a DNA test that very night. I may be gay, but I'm not an idiot. There was no way that kid could look so much like both me and him, unless he was biologically ours. The idea was admittedly insane, but I had to know. And sure enough, the results came back. A biological match. So my Iris had been carrying this massive secret, hiding away and facing all the storms alone. Of course I was angry. Of course I wanted to punch him. But when I knocked on his door and saw the fear and helplessness in his eyes, all those emotions melted into one single feeling. Heartache. My heart ached for him. So from now on, I'm going to be by his side, and we'll outrun every tsunami life throws at us together.